It's a strange feeling that I have. It's a weird being that I am.
All right, all right. Good evening, everybody. You are checking out the daily update right here on Philly Funk Radio and Philly Funk TV. We are doing something a little different tonight. If you happen to be checking this out live, then you are on the Philly Funk Radio page, the actual page for the radio station. If you're not, you'll be watching this on a delay at both the WVSR YouTube page as well as my personal Facebook page. But we are live right now on the Philly Funk Radio page. Of course, as always, I have on the line tonight Mr. Van Stone, and he's going to be talking with us briefly. We have a topic. I have a topic to bring up, and I want to get his opinion about it. Van, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine. Of course, this is Ben Stone, Power WVSR 1360. Always got to let you know, for all of our longtime followers. And of course, we're here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The time now is 6:01, and the weather is so beautiful. So, you know, we give the updates on the weather, we give the updates on the news, and whatever else you feel that we need to say. So I always do this thing first before we get into a discussion. So again, I want to commend Black America. That's what we are about. We are for you, and we love you. So the weather is going to be, I think, a little better even tomorrow. The high is going to be closer to 70 degrees. So right now, I think it's about 63, something like that, degrees. So I basically, before we start a discussion, I'm just trying to remind our listeners what we're going to do. We're going to narrow things down so it can be more simple for you, those who enjoy getting right to the point and enjoying our broadcast about the information that we know is important. So we're going to give tips. And then after the tips, we can get into a discussion, and it can be short or whatever happens. So the three important tips that we're going to talk about always, which I'm going to do, number one is health. The second one is finance. And the third is consumers. So that's HFC. Try to remember that because I'm working on that myself. HFC. As you can see, I'm having trouble because I'm just putting this together, and we don't use scripts here. You know, we could, but this is what it is. So that's health, finance, and also consumers. All right, so what's the latest with health? As I talked to you last time, I'm going to give you a brief demonstration of what you should be doing, taking care of your health. You should be doing your exercising. You put your arms out, do it with me, do it in a circle this way, do it back, so you can stay in your chair. Now, if you want to stand up, you can do that as well. But you need to do this. These exercises should be done for about 20 minutes. Because most of the things are shut down, and they're doing the reopening, as you know, not necessarily you need to really go to these health locations, you know. So then you can come in like this. You don't have to touch your hands, or, you know, but you can do this way. And this is a great run close to the jumping jacks with your arms going and your hands going back behind your neck. Okay, straight up this way. 1, 2, 1, 2. Maybe sometime I'll get you in a count rhythm as well. But that's just a demonstration. And of course, throwing punches or rolls, as you can see. You should be getting winded And the longer you do this non-stop, it's so important to protect your oxygen. Why? We'll stick on the health point, then we'll go into the topic, and then we'll maybe bounce around possibly. So we come to discover with the COVID-19, what is really going on. This virus, it attacks the blood. So that's very important for you to understand that. So the number one cause of death when it comes to diseases in the United States is circulatory diseases and cancers. So evidently the COVID-19, it has to fit into the category of circulatory. What is circulatory? It is all the things that cause everything to flow through your body. The number one thing that causes everything to flow and all your major parts is blood. Okay? So in order to fight this virus, you know, we all can still get sick, but the point is, as you can see, the more exercise you do, you're actually saving the life that you know the most, which is your own. All right, so I'm sharing that with you right now, and let's go over to Jerry. Jerry, what's up, man?
Okay, yeah, I was just looking. Earlier today, not sure if any of you guys seen this while it was on, but the mayor of the city of Philadelphia, Jim Kenney, announced his budget for today. And he said that due to everything going on, that the city's surplus basically has been depleted. Just a couple of months ago, prior to the outbreak of COVID-19, the city had a surplus. Now he's saying that the city is going to be running a deficit of close to almost $700 million. So what he announced was cuts. He announced tax hikes and cuts. I think the tax hikes are somewhere around near 5% for tax hikes, 3 or 4. I don't have the exact figures in front of me, but I did watch the conference live, the press conference as it was going on. What is really angering a lot of people is that there are going to be cuts to some of the services. So he made sure to mention that all essential services will continue to be funded, such as police, fire, medical, and all of that, and trash collection. However, there are layoffs, and some of the layoffs are going to come in form of right as the summer is starting. Some of the cuts are going to be in recreation, and I think even some cuts in other services. So he said that the city pools and basically essentially the recreation centers will be closed for the entire duration of the summer. So I think with everything that's going on right now, I understand that we're doing the social distancing, and I guess they're probably weren't going to really be open, but it's going to create a situation now where there's not going to be anything for the people to do, especially in the inner cities this summer, because I can understand the pools not being open, but the recreation centers probably should be open in some capacity to at least give the kids in the city something to do. So, you know, there's already been, even during the winter, we're already really high in the murder rate. And my question to Van is, do you think the closing of well, first, what do you think about the tax hike? That's one. And what do you think about the closing of the pools and the recreation centers during the summer?
Okay, so I'm just going to get right to it. As far as the taxes are concerned, believe it or not, I have to agree with the mayor on this one. And the reason why, unfortunately, is because they're running out of money. And as everything trickled down, the city is spending overload, all this money. So they're running out of money, so they have to raise taxes in order to pay everyone. If they don't have the taxes, you won't have the police, you won't have the rescue, you won't have all the other services where the city workers depend on that for them to keep working. So that means, you know, one time, a long time ago, when I was younger, they had a trash strike here in Philadelphia. And it was terrible. And it lasted. Matter of fact, it wasn't one time, but it was several times. And I remember at least 2 or 3 trash sanitation strikes. And it was really terrible. It was really, really, really terrible. You know, where trash would just pile up all over the place. So now imagine if this is just no trash pickup because there's no money. I mean, it's just going to be like a total collapse. So in that case, I definitely can understand what's happening because, again, we're dealing with bad government. This is not really, in this case, when it comes to the taxes, it's not a us against them situation. It is basically, it's the governments are fighting against themselves. That's what the problem is. So little did most of the people know that your local government, the city, depends on funding from the federal government. So what's going on with the state, though? So why is it that something's not in process so that they can get money from the state in case of such emergencies? Because your three branches, your local, your state, your federal, have not gotten that together, had no plans to get that together, and come together in case such an emergency. This is the situation. So, I mean, there's really nothing, there's not much you can do about that when it comes to the taxes. Otherwise, we won't have what we need. Now, we can go back and forth on that too, Jerry, and I can hear your opinion on it.
So what do you...
But now, go ahead.
Sorry. So do you think that imposing a tax hike of, I guess, 4.5%, do you think that that is going to basically do more damage to people that are already laid off and unemployed and they're not working and they can't even pay the bills? Now, on top of not working and not bringing in income, with the exception of maybe unemployment and so forth, now you have higher taxes, which is going to generate into the cost of everyday things going up as well. So you already have Philadelphia being one of the highest tax cities. Now the taxes are going way higher. So that was my question. Do you think that this is already? Do you think that this is going to hurt even further people that are already hurting?
It probably will hurt people that are already hurting. It sure is, especially those who have a few dollars in their pocket. Let's everybody understand something. There are still people who are actually working, and they're blessed. Others are just, you have to try to get unemployment and see whatever happens. Those people that are working, the burden is going to be higher on them, and of course the taxes are going to be higher. And then there's homeowners, and there's renters, and there's all kind of, things going on. So then taxes just also get passed along to the next person. So yes, it is going to make things worse. But as the mayor, there's nothing else the mayor can do. In this case, you would say the mayor's hands is tied. And in this case, it's true, because we have to have a city that's still operating or operational. Otherwise, this is an economic crisis, and it's a health crisis. If we don't keep our health up, just like how I started the program with health tips for all you listeners, and who really getting to understand. So if you don't keep your health up, and this ties into this question, just because you're stay at home, you're not going to do any exercise, you're not going to get up and walk around, you're going to make your situation even worse. That's why I explained that. You have to get as much good oxygen into your system as possible now. You have to really be your own medical professional until you can get to the healthcare workers. So if you don't do that, then you can actually still get sick, even being at home away from the virus. It's the same thing. If the taxes are not put in place so that the essential workers, with the city, are able to continue to go out and keep us safe by keeping it operational, we're still going to get sick. So in that case, that's the downside. I mean, if you really want to talk politics, which most people don't, then you're talking to the right person. There's other things that should be done, but the mayor is not doing other things. You have so many businesses who are not paying taxes. So in a time of an emergency, now this is a solution. but the mayor's not going to take this. I don't work for the mayor. I don't know the mayor. So again, but what about all these universities? Philadelphia is one of the largest locations with more universities than most places that we know of. And guess what? They don't pay taxes. So the University of Pennsylvania is a city itself. We're not talking about community college. Actually, the city takes money and gives money to the Philadelphia Community College. But the other universities, the independents, they make all this money. They establish their own authority. They become a community with their own population. And, they're the ones who cause this gentrification problem. But okay, right now, it doesn't matter. We're all dealing with the same thing, regardless of power. So why not make that real? That's a problem that people can talk to the mayor about. The shortcoming of not really thinking out the box on that one. Why isn't that you're not going to the University of Penn with all this wealth and start changing things for them? But it also could be. Go ahead,
real quick.
Go ahead,
I want to take a break real quick. I still want to get your opinion about the closures of the pools and the recreation centers, but we're going to take a break real quick, and we'll be right back after this.
Mom, I got it. Mom, I got it. What are you doing in there?
What's that? What's that?
Are you a dog? Are you a dog?
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Have you seen the pliers? Where'd you find those?
It's not your birthday. It's not your birthday.
Sorry.
Hi, Grandpa.
Bye, Grandpa.
What are you doing? What are you looking for?
The world is talking about coronavirus. But it's hard to know what to listen to. We have answers to your questions, like who's most at risk for coronavirus? People over 65. People with underlying medical conditions, like heart disease, chronic lung disease, asthma, diabetes. People undergoing cancer treatment, and people with weakened immune systems. What should you do if you or a loved one is at higher risk? Avoid close contact with people. Avoid crowds. Stay home if you can. Wash your hands frequently. Learn more ways to protect yourself and others at coronavirus.gov. Together, we can help stop the spread.
All right, we are back. We are back live right here on the Daily Update. Of course, with myself, Jerry, and Van Stone. So we're going to get back. And the question I was asking you, Van, was regarding, the announcement of the budget. You had already talked about, about raising the money. But what I would really wanted to ask you was about the cutting of the city services, including basically no pools and no recreation centers being open. So what do you think about that?
Okay. At this time, that's a tough one. It's a real tough one. But at this time, to cut the recreation centers, again, I have to go along with, I think it's the best thing to do right now. But here's why. A little exposure on what happens with the recreation centers. In the summertime, basically, the children are on their own. So in Philadelphia, that's the way things work. You have professionals who work, you have the leaders who are supposed to be there to organize for the summer programs and the summer camp, and you are supposed to have the leaders to organize how late the youth and the elderly or whoever wants to be on the playground, how late the lights will be on, so that they can just be out comfortable and safe as possible. Unfortunately, we have to think about Philadelphia. In the case of Philadelphia, and primarily when it comes to black Philadelphians, the summertime is really one of the worst times. So I'm not sure if the mayor is doing that with a black agenda. That's pretty much the problem. Most of the time is that to the black community, things are not explained. Things are just done as if the black agenda is not it doesn't have any value. So things are just done. Things are cut off. People will just stop from doing this and doing that, But in this case, because there's a high gun violence death rate in Philadelphia, and due to the COVID-19, I would say that the move right now to do that would be the best move, which you will see the continuation of lives being spared, trying to use the right word, spared. So ever since the COVID-19 has really hit Philadelphia, gun violence, death has gone down. It's down basically to like 0%. Now you have some people who want to glamorize violence and death. Of course, we've had some deaths here in Philadelphia, but you don't hear that much about it. So if you go on Facebook or you go on Instagram, you still have the people who are doing the negative job, the naysayers. They'll find anything negative and they'll promote that. If there's anything negative going on in Kensington, for an example, that section, there's always something negative going on in Kensington. So if you want to look for trouble, it's not hard to find it. But not just Kensington. In West Philadelphia, the hot spot is 52nd and Market Street. It's always something terrible going on there. So if you check with the police districts and find out what are the major hot spots of violence, gun violence, and all kind of things that really cut short the lives of black Americans. Again, if you're getting to know me, Van Stone, I rarely use African American unless I really need to. And by the way, I'm going to even mention this too. We've been doing an excellent job, Jerry Wilson with ours broadcasting, and I noticed that any kind of report that may come about our program, which is negative, we're all positive. But if we speak positive about black Americans, believe it or not, there's still people out there who don't want to hear that, so they will make false reports. They make false reports about it with some kind of racist comments came from this program, this show. That's not really going to happen. Number one, I'm a Native American. And as being a Native American, our background is so dual culture and dual race. So you have many people who are white who also claim to be Native Americans. And you have blacks, like myself, Native American. So in that case, how in the world would any negative thing when it comes to racism come from our program? It can't. We would then be talking about ourselves. But that's another thing, another time for a history lesson, so that people can really understand and come together. But for the short, like I said, you want to come back in on it, Jerry? It sounds like you do. But that's
I did want to ask you regarding what we were just talking about regarding the the closure of the recreation services with the pools. Because we're about to go. What suggestions would you have to for the youth in particular, the teenagers? What should they be doing with this time without having the recreation centers and stuff open? Like, what can they do to keep themselves busy to try to reduce the violence? Because myself, I'm an older person. I'm not a child. I'm not a kid. But, with my idle time, I use that time for education. I try to educate myself, on different things. Just like even what we're doing here, I'm utilizing my time that way. So what suggestion would you have for, again, like I said, the citizens in general, but in particular the youth, about what to do during the summer?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. It's easy for me to answer that. The youth, what they should be doing, since most of the things are not available to them, they should bring back hobbies. Just one word. You keep it simple. They know exactly what you're talking about. And hobbies also means personal relationships with your family and your friends. So there's plenty of things that young people can do that's positive when it comes to hobbies. One hobby is bike riding. Another hobby is flying kites. You know, you have to take the youth back to the mechanical things, the things that used to be available. And by the way, you can go to the dollar store. So the dollar store is open. That's one of the essentials. You can go to the dollar store and find so many things which are the mechanical things that you used to participate in and get it for $1. You can actually get a good kite from the dollar store. But if you want to come up, then you go to other places and you have to go online. You can order some stuff. If your parents can afford that, then you can, we get better kites, do kite flying. Back in the day, roller skating. This was a great time. Roller skating, but you're going to need skates. So again, in the situation and having parents who are thrifty and trying to look for these type of things, hobbies, they can actually put on some skates again. Then with the basketball, games like that, they don't have to be on the playground. We used to play games called king ball, and then there's dodgeball. King ball is the 4 squares and K-I-N-G. You play that till you mess up, somebody's out. Okay, fun game. You get tired of that, you can play dodgeball. All right. And then if you get tired of that, then you can play volleyball. So just because the rec centers are closed does not prevent the youth from going to the locations. Let me try to help the people to understand that, because we're just hearing too many complaints, and the complaints are coming from, again, the negative people who are just working to fight against the government. That's the best way that I would say. Our goal is not to fight against the government. If you have a valid complaint, that's a good complaint. The government right now is doing a terrible job. That's not fighting against the government. That's just telling the truthful complaint. But at the same time, if something has been put in place where there's a shutdown, families have to regroup, rebuild, and have personal relationships once again. And they, you can get jacks. These
I was actually about to say that.
Okay.
I used to love jacks.
Right. And jacks.
Go ahead.
Yeah, jacks is not just for girls. Jacks is for anybody who can play jacks. So when we were young, we did all the things that the girls did, and most of the time we lost, because it just shows you that girls, they mature faster than boys. And then even in the physical fun games, such as racing, you have your race challenge. Many of the girls are faster than boys at that time. So now if you say youth and teenagers, again, this is a great time for them to get into what they're already into. Get off of the YouTube watching negative and destructive things, and get on the YouTube for positive things. There's so many challenges now with these games that people are now making money off of it. That it's a competition which is considered a real sport. That's amazing. You can sharpen up your skills. And if you have a few dollars, then you have the small handheld games, and you can go out somewhere, safe, social distancing, and at the same time, you can still have your competition. They have it with technology now, just like what we're doing, Jerry. We're actually looking at each other and talking. You can get the technology now with the. I don't want to promote any brand, but they have some brands where you can actually talk to a person, play the game, talk to a complete stranger. You don't even know this person, and play these games and stuff like that. And the competition gets real good that you don't even know you might be playing most likely against an adult, because the adults are heavily into all the youth games, and it makes sense. So that's what I would say. You know, there are things to do. It's just that we have to come out of the negative mindset. And based on what's going on, in my conclusion, with the virus, this COVID virus and this stay at home and this slowly reopening, we come to find in the streets you don't see that many youth, which is really good. That means all these young people are somewhere safe. And they're not driving people crazy, as the negative people would like to try to put the bad news out there. They're not. So now this is a chance of trust and responsibility for the young people to do the things, you know, go into the neighborhood, especially in Philadelphia, support black businesses. This bike business is still open. It's an essential. And now I want to say this. I know we're closing, but I was thinking about this a long time ago. So I want to share this, Jerry, especially in Philadelphia, especially with black Philadelphians, and you're talking about businesses and so forth and so on. So we have many black businesses. We have horse riding businesses run by black entrepreneurs. But we have the bike repair and sales business right here in Philadelphia, one of the biggest things. I just can't understand for the life of me how the government, this is a good complaint against the city, how they would steal the businesses from those who, you know, are in business. And you have all these bikes out here now, beautiful bikes where you can go and put money in it and go take a ride. But then you won't go to your black business where they can sell your bike cheaper. By the time you keep putting that money into renting those bikes, you could have bought so many bikes. But they just won't support. That's another topic. You know, I know, but listen.
Well, like I said, and we're about to go, I think if you could get any positive from everything that's going on is, like you said, it seems like people are kind of getting more in tune with, you know, dealing with each other, like, you know, with everybody with the communities being sheltered in place. And, you know, I actually see a lot on Facebook now, like, you know, you see the reporters from the TV stations, they're actually at home with their kids. People are doing the meetings, and it just, you know, it just, like I said, the people are getting back to actually, like, dealing with their families. And like I said, if there's a positive, that would be it. And hopefully when all is said and done with this, hopefully, you know, it'll stay like that.
Right, but you have to see that in the urban community, which you don't see that. That's the problem. Most of the people that you see who are with their families, again, we're going to say they're part of the wealthy. The other people in the urban community, they're just too busy working all the time. You know, they don't have the time to do this personal relationship. But now they do. Because no matter what time you get home, even if you got 2 jobs or 3 jobs, your family is going to be home when you get there. And in that case, if you're missing family members, because that's another story, you know, people are not going to change no matter how dire a situation is. We know that. So that's why Luther Vandross, I leave with that, said, you know, love the one you with. You can't be with the one you love the one you with. So that's where the extended family comes in. That's where you build getting to know your neighbor, knocking on your neighbor's door. You can do that, you know. I mean, everybody's wearing a mask, and so eventually what happens is you'll get to know who's well, because you're going to know real quick if somebody's sick, just like that. It doesn't take long. So when you interact and communicate, and you find, well, you're well and that person is well, okay, you begin to social distance, but at the same time, you build relationships, and then you can do things on your block. Nobody says you can't do cookouts. You can't pop out the grill. You can't. There's a lot of stuff you can do that's positive. But please don't be like the other people who they're just disregarding everything. We've seen a bunch of guys, every day you see it, and females too. They're all actually literally on top of one another. And these are grown-ups doing this, by the way. Grown-ups. who complain about the kids. That's not what we're supposed to be doing, you know. So just keep up the good work, and hopefully we'll see you next time.
Okay. Well, thank you, Van, for joining us tonight. And like I said, we're going to try to do this every night or every other night right here on Philly Funk Radio and Philly Funk Television and, of course, Power WVSR. So thank you again for joining us this evening, and we will see you tomorrow. We're going to go to another break, and that's going to end everything. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. So...
Taking care of yourself is also taking care of others. We are all in this together. All right. Good evening, everybody. Yeah. This is Philly Funk Radio and Philly Funk TV. Broadcasting live and local from the beautiful city of Philadelphia, PA. The current time over here in Philadelphia is 7:36 at night, and you just got done checking us out on our daily update right here on Philly Funk Radio, Philly Funk TV. If you would like to hit us up on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Philly Funk Radio. Also, you can hit us up on the email station at phillyfunkradio.com. That's station at phillyfunkradio.com. Special shout outs going out right now to Miss Antoinette Cook. She's out there checking us out. And also our radio partner, Mr. Juan Johnson, who is checking us out from One Media World Live in Detroit, Michigan. Again, we're going to do this every night right here on Philly Funk Radio. Do you believe that segment you just watched was actually taped? It was taped at 6 o'clock. It was not live. So anyway, everybody have a good night. Thank you for joining us. And special shout outs go to my friend Catherine, who is also watching right here. Anyway, have a good night, everybody. See you tomorrow.